Let's start with a truth that Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself every day. The joy we experience is shaped by our inner dialogue. The saying may sound ancient, but it hits a very modern moment when we look in the mirror at 3 a.m. and whisper, "Who have I become? When did I stop taking care of myself?" If you've ever had that moment, that feeling of knowing something is off track, this video is for you. The problem of this era is not that we lack self-care, but that we misunderstand self-care. We're convinced that self-care means expensive things, luxury resorts, all-inclusive spas, remote retreats. Then we conclude, I'm too busy, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, so I'll just give up. But the truth is that Stoic self-care is not luxurious. It's simple, it's repeatable every day, and most importantly, it reframes the dialogue in our heads, the thing that determines 90% of how we feel about life in America today, amid deadlines, bills, noisy news, and countless roles to play. Ask yourself, when did I start letting my phone dictate my morning mood? When does lunch become a firefighting rather than a recharge? When does a free night just become an endless scroll through social media? These are little signals that we've ceded the microphone to another voice in our heads, the voice of fatigue, comparison, procrastination. And as Marcus reminds us, inner dialogue shapes joy. If we let it be hijacked, joy will also be diverted. Stoic self-care doesn't add a burden to your schedule. It less interference. It doesn't require you to fly to an island. It just requires 2 minutes of mindfulness when you wake up. A very specific moment of gratitude in the middle of the day. A simple energy check like checking your phone battery. A breath of kindness to yourself when you make a mistake. And 2 minutes before bed to acknowledge accomplishments. No luxury. No complicated rituals. Just small but powerful operations, reprogramming the way we talk to ourselves. Imagine you start your morning in California or Texas, haven't touched your phone, just sit still, 2 minutes and watch the thoughts pass by like clouds. No judgment, no rejection, just recognition. It sounds so simple, but that moment creates the distance between event and how we interpret events, and that distance is freedom. At noon, instead of surfing the net to take a break, he tried to unearth one small thing to be grateful for. The perfectly brewed coffee without him even asking, the stranger holding the door open an extra beat, the email response faster than expected. Not a generic thank you, but a feeling of human network stand behind that little moment. In the afternoon, set a bell or pick a hook, just finished washing hands, closed laptop, got into car, to ask, am I being charged or being drained? If you get withdrawn, deal with it immediately. Stand up, walk 60 steps, take 3 deep breaths, change the topic of the stuck conversation, turn off the app that's draining your energy. At night, when your self-criticism rises, why am I so stupid? Older brother reset with one breath and whispered, I'm doing the best I can with what I know today. Then before going to sleep, note 3 things done, no matter how small. Replying to a difficult email, choosing a healthy meal, being more patient in a stressful situation. It sounds normal. But it is that normality, repeat, creating what science calls neuroplasticity. The brain builds new pathways. The old pathways are fatigue, comparison, and self-judgment. The new pathways are calm, specific gratitude, energy control, self-kindness, and a sense of, I can do it. Not overnight, but day by day. And then one morning, a colleague or relative will ask, you look different lately. What happened? The answer would not be, I go on a 7-day retreat, but rather, I changed the way I talk to myself. For Vietnamese audiences in the United States, where life is fast-paced and stressful, true self-care is not about escaping from life, but rather build shelter in life. Stoicism gives us the micro-operation, short enough to do on breaks, in the driver's seat, in the office hallway, soft enough to apply on your worst day, and strong enough to add up to long-term change. None of these habits require any expense. Just honesty. Admit that you've let your inner dialogue take over. And courage. Take back the mic, every little moment. Before going on, he paused for a moment and asked himself, if my joy were shaped by my inner dialogue, what words would I choose today? Would I speak to myself as a friend or as a harsh commander? Asking that question every morning will change the way you approach your day. And as a day changes, a week, a month, and a life can change. If this touches you, don't wait for a big milestone. The real beginning is just 2 minutes right after this video ends. Because Stoic self-care isn't an Instagram photo, it's breathing, walking, thinking, all of which happens silently but persistently inside him. And as Marcus mentioned, when the inner dialogue changed, joy and also lifetime also changed. Habit 1. Morning mind sweep. 2 minutes in the morning. Have you ever noticed, as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, your mind is immediately buzzing? Before you can even get out of bed, a series of thoughts rush through your mind. Is there a meeting today? Did I send the email? Did I say that wrong thing yesterday? Will the meeting this afternoon go well? And then the natural reflex is to reach for our phones. We believe that social media or our inboxes will help us take control of our day. But in reality, they just add more chaos to an already cluttered room. The ancients saw this. Epictetus taught, we are not moved by events, but by the way we perceive events. Yes, the problem is not the meeting schedule, the email, or the conversation, but the how we let those thoughts control us. And if the morning starts with chaos, the whole day will be dragged along in chaos. The Stoic solution is not long meditation retreats or complicated rituals, but a simple habit called morning mind sweep. Clear your mind 2 minutes first thing after waking up. It's easy. Before you touch your phone, brush your teeth, or get out of bed, sit still and observe. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Close your eyes or look down. Visualize all your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky. Some are anxious about work, some are happy about seeing you tonight, and some are just idle thoughts, a meaningless melody from yesterday. Your job is not to push them away, nor to analyze them. Just recognize them, let them pass, and then make room for the next one. It may sound small, but the effect is much greater than you might imagine. When we practice sitting with the thought without immediately reacting, we regain control of the mind. Instead of being swept away by every stream of thoughts, we learn to stand aside and observe. That is the inner freedom that the Stoics always emphasized. After just a week of practice, you'll start to notice familiar patterns. For example, Monday mornings are more stressful. After a big meeting, there's a lingering tension that lingers into the next day. Or whenever you think about your family, a warm feeling creeps into your chest. These emotional data are often overlooked, but Mindsweep helps you see them clearly. And when you see them clearly, you start to have distance to choose how to react, instead of being unconsciously swept away. Another benefit, when our minds are less noisy, our relationships change. We enter our morning conversations with a sense of calm, rather than with unaddressed anxiety. We listen more carefully, respond more slowly, our interactions become deeper. And with ourselves, we become less harsh, less judgmental, and learn to see our thoughts as just thoughts, not absolute truths. Many people fear meditation because they think it requires a state of absolute stillness. But Mindsweep is not like that. It doesn't require us to sit for hours, nor does it require us to clean out everything. It's like a shopkeeper opening the store in the morning, going around checking the shelves. What's extra? What's missing? Just a few minutes of checking is enough to make the whole day run more orderly. And the magic is, this habit is completely free of charge. No special space, no tools needed. Just 2 minutes, and the patience to sit with yourself. It is the greatest gift we can give ourselves every day. So if you often find yourself starting your day with chaos, try switching it up. Tomorrow, when the alarm goes off, don't rush to pick up your phone. Sit still and give it a try. Mind scan. You'd be surprised. Just 2 simple minutes can change the way we go through our entire day. Habit 2. Gratitude. Archaeology. Have you ever tried keeping a gratitude journal? Many people try, and after a few days they usually give up. The reason is because it becomes repetitive and boring. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for my health. I am grateful for my job. These things are important, but when repeated over and over again, the brain treats them like old, emotionless background music. So the Stoics taught us something else. Instead of sweeping past the big and obvious, they made a habit of excavating the small, seemingly insignificant moments of the day. I call it gratitude archaeology. Gratitude archaeology. Imagine yourself as an archaeologist, using a small brush to sweep away layers of dust to find a precious piece of pottery hidden under the sand. Gratitude is the same. It is not readily apparent on the surface. It is hidden in the details we often overlook. A perfectly brewed cup of coffee, a quick smile from a stranger in the elevator, or finding your keys the first time. These small things are fleeting, but when we stop and excavate them, they become shining gems. The Stoics called this discipline of perspective. They practice seeing the world without being clouded by assumptions, fears, or the habit of scanning for errors. And we are programmed to scan for errors, to look for mistakes, for flaws, for dangers. It's a survival instinct. But as a result, we gradually forget the bright picture before us. Gratitude archaeology is the way to reprogram that filter. The practice is simple. Once a day, at any given moment, stop and ask yourself, what little thing today made you smile, even if just for a moment? Maybe it was the dog wagging its tail when he came home. Maybe it was the background music in the diner that brought back childhood memories. Maybe it was just the sudden cool breeze when he left the office. Just a moment. Then he dug deeper. Why does this affect me? Who or what is behind it? Take, for example, a cup of coffee in the morning. There is a journey behind it. The farmer in a faraway country who planted the seeds, the worker who roasted and packaged them, the truck driver who delivered them, the supermarket clerk who stocked the shelves, the barista who pressed the right button. It all comes together to give you a simple moment, a sip of warm coffee. When you see the network of people and effort behind it, gratitude is no longer superficial. It becomes a deep respect. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the ability to create new neural pathways. Every time we actively seek and unearth gratitude, we train our brains to be positive. And the magic is, after 2 to 3 weeks, we no longer have to try to find it. Small moments automatically pop into our consciousness. Sunlight filtering through the trees, a slight nod from a coworker, or a funny story overheard on the street. The benefits are more widespread than we realize. When we get used to seeing kindness in the world, we naturally spread it around. We become more patient when others are slow. We smile more easily at the little things. And suddenly, those around us feel energized by that peace. As Seneca once wrote, "He who sees value in small things will never be poor in spirit." More importantly, Stoic gratitude is not fragile. It does not pretend that life is always beautiful. On the contrary, it builds a solid foundation that can sustain us even when things get tough. Because when the mind is accustomed to finding light in small things, darkness does not so easily swallow us up. So business owners, try this tonight. At the end of a long day, instead of mentally rehashing your to-do list, do a little digging. Write it down or just think to yourself, what moment today made me truly grateful? No need to be grand, just be specific. And if you want to commit to yourself, type below in the comments section. I am a treasure hunter in my own life. I am a treasure hunter in my own life. You'll be surprised how, after just a few weeks, the world around you begins to become clearer. Not because it has changed, but because your perspective has changed. Habit 3. Energy audit. Do you ever find yourself at the end of a day and somehow feel exhausted? You've been busy all day, jumping from one task to another, talking to so many people, but when you look back, you realize that not much has actually happened. Your body feels tired, your mind feels heavy, like your phone running out of battery even though you haven't used any heavy apps. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We value ourselves more than anyone else, but let other people's opinions influence us more than our own." This quote is not just about self-esteem, but also about how we let other people and meaningless habits drain our life energy. Think of it like a phone. When the battery is running low, what is the first thing we do? Check to see if there are any apps running in the background. Turn them off and optimize settings. Yet in life, we rarely do an energy audit. See what is charging us and what is silently draining us. This is the power of habit. Energy audit, just once a day. Stop and ask yourself, right now, am I being replenished or withdrawn? The practice is very simple. You can set an alarm randomly or tie it to a routine activity, opening the refrigerator, washing your hands, ending a phone call. When the signal comes, pause for a moment and notice your body. Are your shoulders tense? Is your chest tight or open? Is your breathing shallow or even? Is your jaw clenched or relaxed? These little signals are your battery gauges that tell you whether you're being charged or drained. The Stoics understood that energy, time, and attention are our most precious assets. Epictetus once taught, "Wealth comes not from accumulating much, but from reducing useless desires." That saying is not only true for money, but also true for mental energy. The problem is that most of us only realize we're exhausted when it's too late. It's like looking for a map when we're lost. The Stoics take the proactive approach. Observe, categorize, and then act. When you find yourself being drained of energy, you have three options. 1. Change the situation. For example, turn off your phone when you realize you're doom scrolling. 2. Change the way you engage, like changing the subject in a conversation that is reoccurring pointlessly. 3. Get away completely. Step away, take a deep breath, release the tension before it builds up. Action is important as soon as realized, not to think about tomorrow, because tomorrow usually never comes. The magic of getting acquainted with energy auditus that he began to distinguish clearly between two types of fatigue. Good fatigue. After he tried, learned, created, this tiredness still left a feeling of fullness. Bad fatigue. After you please others, do meaningless things, get sucked into drama, this kind of thing leaves an emptiness. As he practiced each day, he developed an energy intelligence, a keen sense of what energized him and what drained him. As a result, his schedule gradually changed. Instead of filling it with appointments or habits that drained him, he built his life around what recharged him. Inspiring friends, meaningful work, and restorative quiet. And then a quiet but profound change occurred. He became the kind of person whose presence others immediately felt. Not because he was always cheerful, but because he had enough energy to be truly present. People trusted him more because he did not fragment in fatigue. Because in the end, energy is the essence of life. It determines not only what you can do, but who you will become. So try doing a little audit today. While you're watching this video, ask yourself, am I being charged or being drained? And if you're ready to commit, type it down in the comments section below. I protect my energy like the precious resource it is. I protect my energy like the precious resource it is. You will see after just a few weeks that your life choices will start to change. They will no longer be habitual reactions, but intelligent reactions. And when your energy is conserved, you can use it to build the life you truly want. Habit 4. Compassion, reset, breath. Have you ever noticed that the person we are most critical of is ourselves? When we make mistakes, when we are behind schedule, when we say the wrong thing, we do not hesitate to use the harshest words to scold ourselves. There are even words that we would never say to others, but we freely throw into our hearts every day. This not only hurts our feelings, but it also eats away at our energy and self-confidence. The Stoics saw this thousands of years ago. They called it the second arrow. The first arrow is the event. The second arrow is the judgment we shoot at ourselves. A spilled cup of coffee is a small event, but when we say, "I'm so clumsy and useless," that is the arrow that kills peace. So how do you break out of this loop? The answer is a very small habit that I call compassion reset breath. Compassion reset breath. The practice is extremely simple. Whenever you find that stern voice ringing in your head, stop, take a deep breath, and exhale slowly. In that moment, silently remind yourself, I'm doing the best I can with what I know right now. Just a breath, just a short sentence, but the effect is incredibly powerful. Why? Because that breath helps the body shift from stress mode to safety mode, activating the parasympathetic nervous system, where peace and recovery occur. The reminder is like a gentle hand on the shoulder, replacing criticism with understanding. Remember, this is not meant to excuse our mistakes. It simply brings us back to the truth. We act on the basis of our current level of knowledge, skills, and experience. And it is this truth that gives us the opportunity to grow. Think about it. When we were kids learning to walk, no one scolded us when we fell. We just got up, tried again, and laughed. So why, as adults, do we turn ourselves into evil coaches in our own heads? The Stoics advise us to replace judgment with observation and criticism with curiosity. What can I learn from this time? Results after a few weeks of practice. The inner voice becomes less harsh and softer. We stop putting negative labels on ourselves just because of a small mistake. Patience with yourself gradually spreads to the relationships around you. When we stop judging ourselves so much, we stop judging others so much. This creates an internal, psychological comfort zone where we don't have to expend energy fighting ourselves, but can instead devote all our energy to creating, learning, and improving. Modern science has proven this. When we replace criticism with compassion, our brains release oxytocin, a hormone associated with trust and connection. In other words, with just one breath, we can reprogram our brains to choose gentleness over harshness. Imagine this. Tomorrow, you make a small mistake, but instead of saying to yourself, "I'm so bad," you stop, take a breath, and say, "I'm doing the best I can right now." Just by doing that, the feeling will be completely different. Lighter. And the amazing thing is, when we stop shooting the second arrow, we recover faster from the first arrow. The Stoics did not teach us to deny difficulties. They taught us to face them with calmness and kindness. Compassion does not weaken us, it strengthens us. If the boss is willing to try, please commit right below the comment. I speak to myself with the kindness I deserve. I speak to myself with the kindness I deserve. In just a few weeks, the boss will realize he doesn't need to be perfect to improve. He just needs to stop being his own enemy. And from that moment on, he will begin to live more gently, more deeply, and more consistently. Habit 5. Daily Done Declaration. Have you ever laid down in bed at night, closed your eyes, and had a long list of unfinished tasks running through your head? Emails unanswered, calls unmade, apologies unspoken. All of it makes you feel heavy, as if the whole day was a failure. And then, the next morning, you wake up and you feel behind. This is the trap of modern times. We only look at what is not finished, instead of taking note what has been done. The Stoics, especially Seneca, soon found a way out. Every night before going to sleep, he asked himself, "What have I overcome today? What temptations have I resisted? Where have I grown?" A form of internal audit, but instead of judgment, he chooses to see the truth. From that inspiration, we can create a modern habit called Daily Done Declaration. Declare what you have accomplished each day. The method is very simple. Before falling asleep, take 2 to 3 minutes to review your day. Not to find fault, but to find 3 things done, even if it is small. But there is one rule. You must not choose the obvious. You must look for the silent victory. Small steps are often overlooked. Maybe he texted a friend to check in. Maybe he chose to eat a healthy meal instead of fast food. Maybe he held back his anger and chose to stay silent during an argument. Or maybe he simply made the blanket, drank an extra glass of water, or cleared a corner of the table. Sounds small, but it's these micro-victories that quietly build character. Why is this habit important? Because it creates what psychologists call momentum of completion. Momentum of completion. When we acknowledge that we have accomplished something, our brain releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation. And the next day, we enter with a completely different mindset. Not as a failure, but as a person capable of accomplishing. Conversely, if we spend every night just hugging our to-do list, we will reinforce an underlying belief: I am always lacking. That belief will erode confidence day by day. The Stoics taught us, progress doesn't come in giant leaps, but in steady steps. The Daily Done Declaration is the tool that takes our eyes off the empty space and starts to notice the bricks being laid every day. Results after a few weeks of practice? Deeper sleep, because the mind is not haunted by the unfinished list. Wake up in the morning with positive energy, because it carries the memory of accomplishment. Our relationship with ourselves changes. We begin to trust our ability to persevere, rather than doubt it. And most importantly, we learn how to cherish the little things, is the very material that makes up a great life. Imagine this. After a month, the boss gets used to writing down 3 small things every night. When faced with a big challenge, his mind automatically reminds him, I am a finisher. I have taken 1 step. I can take another. It is an inner strength that no one needs to recognize, but it is what helps him persevere more than any compliment. Practice tonight. Before going to bed, ask yourself, what have I done today? And write it down, or simply say it silently in your head. Then let your mind drift off to sleep in relief instead of regret. If the boss really wants to try, leave a commitment in the comment section. I celebrate the progress I make every single day. I celebrate the progress I make every single day. And one day, when someone looked at the boss and asked, "How did you change to become so strong?" he just smiled, because he knew it was not thanks to any miraculous turning point, but thanks to the silent victories accumulated every night, every day, every month. Small habits. 5. Small habits, big change. You know, sometimes we think that to change our lives, we need a giant leap, a bold decision, or a huge plan. But the truth is the opposite. The Stoics pointed out that life doesn't change with sudden pushes, but with small, steady steps, repeated every day. And the 5 habits we just shared, so small that anyone can do them, are the key to a lasting transformation. After 30 days, if the boss persists, the morning will start with peace, thanks to Mindsweep. The mind is no longer cluttered as soon as you wake up. During the day, you will find gratitude awaken through gratitude archaeology, and energy is maintained by energy audit. Know what is nourishing you and what is draining you. The heart becomes gentler, because compassion reset breath, help him stop shooting second arrows at himself. And at night, he will go to bed satisfied, thanks to daily done declaration. Appreciate the small progress made during the day. As a result, in just 1 month, his entire rhythm of life changed. Calm mornings, bright days, peaceful minds, and peaceful nights. After 6 months, the transformation is not only internal. Others will notice a clear difference in you. They will ask, "How have you changed? What is the secret to being so calm, steady, and full of life?" And he would smile, knowing that the answer lies not in any one grand action, but in 5 small habits, repeated every day, silently but persistently, like the flow of water that wears away a rock. The Stoics once said, "We become what we repeatedly do." So repeat what's right, what's good, what brings you closer to your best self. Final message. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to follow the glamorous model out there. You just need to peel away the layers of stress, procrastination, and self-criticism that have built up over you. Because the best version of you is already inside you, waiting to be revealed. Remember, you don't become someone else, you just rediscover the true version of yourself. And if you're ready for this journey, don't let this video just be a know-how. Turn it into a do-how. Try adopting one of the 5 habits today. Leave a comment below. I choose to uncover my true self. I choose to discover the true version of myself. Because big change doesn't start tomorrow. It starts right now. Don't forget to leave a comment. If this video touches you, please hit like to support, subscribe to receive more practical Stoic lessons every week, and share for a friend who needs to hear this. Don't forget to leave a comment. I choose to uncover my true self. I choose to discover the true version of myself. I will pin the most meaningful shares to build a strong Stoic community together.